Hi, this is Shane, and I'm coming to you from the office here at Lockwood Church. We're unable this Holy Week to meet on Good Friday as we usually do because of the COVID-19 virus, so I thought I would share with you a devotional for Good Friday that I shared in another church a few years ago. This past Sunday, though, we recited the Lord's Prayer at our church online, and some of you, I suspect, have recited that prayer hundreds, maybe even thousands of times. I wonder if you've ever recited these rich theological lines in church, though. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Hi Humpty, I'm Dumpty. We're all Humpty Dumptys. We've fallen and we can't get up, at least not on our own. Our father Adam tripped, we all fell, and we landed on the wrong side of the wall, landed in enemy territory. And we might say, but I'm not a bad guy, and compared to other people, we might be right. But we're still on the wrong side. A German soldier in World War II may have been a nice enough guy, paid his bills and treated his family well, but he was on the wrong side. And being a nice guy was not going to be enough. We read that in the beginning, God created man in his likeness, after his image. But then came the rebellion, and that dreadful fall, and humanity was dislocated. Humans lost their connection to God. And while God's image in humanity survived, it was splintered, like shatterproof glass that stays in place, but's fractured into 1,000 pieces. That helps explain the enormous contradictions that we see in ourselves. In humankind, there is great beauty and honor and courage and glory that swells our hearts, expands our minds, ennobles our character. But we also see petty spitefulness, ignoble selfishness, and an animal-like greed. And it's not that we find one set of characteristics in some people and a completely different set in others. We find both sets of characteristics in the very same people. We find them both in us. That mankind was made in God's image is both our glory and our shame. Our glory because it speaks of the vastness of our worth. Our shame because it speaks of the magnitude of our sin. Ours is a measureless loss and an inextinguishable hope. According to the nursery rhyme, Humpty Dumpty can't be put back together again. But Humpty, take it from Dumpty, what the king's horses and the king's men cannot do, the king's son can do. When humanity fell, our connection with God was lost, and with it our peace. The Greek word for peace, eirene, our name Irene comes from that, comes from the verb eiro, which means to join. When we're joined with others and the connection is sound, we have peace. When that connection is broken, we lose peace. But when our connection with God is broken, we not only lose peace, we lose ourselves. We've had a great fall. Our connection with God has been broken. All the king's horses and all the king's men, all the king's prophets and all the king's laws couldn't put us back together again, couldn't give us peace. Only the king's son could do that. Jesus, St. Paul says, is our peace. He joins us to each other, that's Ephesians 3 and elsewhere, by bringing us to God. That's 1 Peter 1 and elsewhere. Jesus made it possible for us to have peace with God, peace with each other, and peace within ourselves. And he did so, Colossians says, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. Through Jesus, and this is from Colossians chapter 1, verses 13 through 20, God rescued us from darkness and transferred us into the kingdom of his Son. Through Jesus, he forgave us, redeemed us, and transforms us. Through Jesus, he will raise us from the dead, reconcile us to himself and to the world, and give us peace. And these remarkable benefits do not depend upon our good intentions, but upon Christ's great sacrifice. It's the surpassing mystery of the cross. I don't pretend to understand it all, but I do understand this. The cross was no accident. It was a rescue mission. A rescue mission originating from the other side of the wall. God saves us through the cross and opens a way for us to be forgiven, restored, and connected to Him and with each other. He gives us peace. He's the only one who can do it. Religions can't. The king's horses can't. The king's men can't. Only the king's son can put us Humpty Dumptys back together again. On this Good Friday, let's look to the king's son and to his cross.